Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights people in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guests today are Linda Barber and Doug Smith. Linda Barber is the executive director of STAIR, which is an acronym for Start the Adventure in Reading. And Doug is the president of the board of directors of the organization. Welcome to you both to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you, Mike. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. So, what is STAIR all about?
You can start and then I'll jump in.
Okay. STAIR is a reading program to focus on second graders who are reading below grade level. Mm-hmm. In second grade, you learn to read, but once you get to third grade, you are reading to learn. And so we want to be sure that the students have enough help to get them reading up to or over grade level before they leave second grade. And what we found is, amazingly, if you can read well in second grade, your chances of graduating from high school improve by about 40 to 60%. Mm-hmm. And of course, we want everybody to graduate from high school because the children now who are 8 and 9 years old will be running our country and running our businesses in the next 10 to 15 years. So we want them to be able to read.
So Linda is sort of the heart and soul of this organization with a group of volunteers, citizens from the community who want to help teach reading. Mm-hmm. And then about a year ago, we decided to set up a separate 501c3 organization so that we could get contributions from other organizations around Annapolis who would like to promote this, because there are things that we have expenses for. We'll talk a little bit later about the kinds of things that we purchase, but most of the effort here is a volunteer effort. So the real heart of the system are people that want to sit down with kids, spend 1 or 2 days a week with them, and teach them how to read.
Mm-hmm. How does the program actually work?
Linda, you do that part.
What we do is we gather in volunteers. We go out to the schools and talk to them. Right now we have 5 elementary schools that we serve. We talk to the reading teachers and we ask them to recommend students that are reading a little bit below grade level or below grade level and could use some extra help in learning to read, developing fluency and comprehension. Mm-hmm. We have a formal permission slip that the parents sign so that they know about STAIR. And then we get those students from the reading teachers and we assign volunteers. The volunteers work either 1 or 2 days a week and an hour with the children. Mm-hmm. Twice a week. And they play a number of reading games. We have a STAIR approved curriculum that is developed by educators. Mm-hmm. And our programs and curriculums come from STAIR in New Orleans, mm-hmm. which is the inventor of STAIR. And this is their 29th year, and they have 250 students and about 300 volunteers. We have right now about 52 students, mm-hmm. and we have 119 volunteers. Mm-hmm. And we meet at the schools or community centers, normally after school, normally Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we have a wonderful time.
Right. What is the history of the program? When and how did it actually get started?
Well, this became a project of the Presbyterian Church on Duke of Gloucester, just a block away from us. And Linda was involved at the beginning, and then it's grown from there. We have many of the volunteers are members of the church, but now it's beyond the church. It's open to anyone across the community, and the hope is we can expand. Maybe we'll get to be as big as the New Orleans program, because we always have more need than we have volunteers to fill. There are more children that the teachers would like us to spend time with. We just don't have enough volunteers. So the payoff will be if the number of volunteers can be increased, we can service more kids.
When you started, how many kids did you have? How many volunteers did you have from the time that you started?
So we started, the church actually was trying to improve graduation rates at Annapolis High School, but we knew we didn't have the savvy to perhaps tutor or help a troubled 16 or 17-year-old. But we felt like we could handle second graders, and at that time, one of our associate pastors brought the STAIR program in New Orleans to us. So we banded together, formed a committee, and our first STAIR opened in February in the Stanton Center with students from Annapolis Elementary School. And there were 7 students, and we had about 25 tutors. Some were substitutes. Some tutors work 1 day a week, some work 2 days a week. So that was the beginning. And that was 9 years ago. We're going into our 10th year. And now we have 6 sites, 3 in community centers with the help of the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis, and 3 in elementary schools. But all of our children were overseen to some degree, and we communicate a lot with the principals and the reading teachers at the elementary schools.
That is important. This is in cooperation with the school system. And the teachers appreciate the extra attention that we can provide to the students. Imagine a teacher with 20, 30 kids in her classroom. She can't spend the individual attention that she'd like to just because she has a larger class to serve. The STAIR program augments that by providing a one-on-one situation, and the child and the tutor actually develop a friendship because they see each other every week. They get to know each other. The children know they can depend on the tutor to be there, and they really build some long-lasting relationships. We have some pictures that I think kind of show that. This is just some snapshots of some of the tutors and the students. They become great friends. They share this entire year in learning how to read. The tutors love it because they're building a friendship with some super kids. The kids love it because at the end of this, they've really accomplished something. And to see them at the end of the graduation with this feeling of achievement, where they stumbled over words to begin with, they couldn't even read the simplest books. Now, after this program, they're standing up and reading Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat to the rest of the class, and it's a great accomplishment.
So your tutors will work with an individual child. That's how it's arranged. In other words, you will have a specific volunteer who will be assigned to a specific student and will work with that student across the program.
That's absolutely right. Our tutors are assigned at the beginning of the year. They meet and greet their student. There's a small degree of testing that goes on, a lot of conversation starters. Then they work the entire year with that student. And I can put prices on how much the stuff costs, but I can't give you a dollar value, maybe in gold, of the mentoring and the caring and the wonderful exchanges between the students and the tutors. And I go around and visit all the sites once a week, and it never ceases to amaze me. I walk into a room where there are 20 people, and there's this hum of activity and laughter and reading and enjoyment of each other because there's a mutual respect. It's the most amazing thing. In 9 years, it's never stopped. It's amazing.
And where do the participants in the program come from? How do you how do you find the students? How do the students come to you? How do they know about you? How do you identify the children who are actually taking part? You've got a very large program here. How do they learn about STAIR?
We go out to the schools and talk to them about the STAIR program. And we talk with the reading teachers and the principals, first the principals, to make sure that they're willing for the STAIR program to come
Right.
into their building
Okay.
or to be a partner with STAIR. And then we work directly with the reading teachers who, at the end of first grade, begin to focus on which children might benefit from additional help in reading. We don't do math or social studies.
Okay.
We focus on reading because that's the gateway to everything else. Then the reading teachers talk with the parents and the students. At one of our schools, the reading teacher actually called the students in and said, "This is the STAIR program and you will really like it. And I'm going to give you permission slips to take home to your parents." And the children 100% brought back permission slips. We do both English and Hispanic permission slips. And by the end of August, we don't actually start our program until the 1st of October to give the reading teachers time to get ready for us and find our students. They introduce the students to us, and then we start from there. And
Usually we have more students that want to get in.
right.
That's a good indication of how valuable both the students and parents see the program. Once in a while, a parent will come and just sit in the background and watch the interaction with the tutor. And these are parents that want to see their kids succeed. So they're encouraging them. With very few behavior problems, the children are there because they want to be there, and they're getting something of value out of it. So the payoff helps the student learn, but it also helps them get ahead in school, because now they've gotten the individual attention that propels them into their grade level.
You mentioned earlier that the program focuses solely on second graders, and you cited a study which says that how a student performs in second grade is a good indication of whether or not they graduate. Is that the reason that you've selected just second graders? One can make an argument that at any grade, first grade, third grade, any grade level, if a student does not master what they need to be mastering at any point in time, and they're just simply promoted on, then that the educational link can be broken. But is there a particular reason that you selected just second graders, or is it partly just a matter of the numbers of volunteers that you can serve realistically?
We have in the past tutored both first and third graders.
Okay.
So, and sometimes we do have students who we will take back for a second year. We focus on second graders because second grade to third is the bridge year, and we want to try as best we can to get them really ready for moving on into third grade, where they really have to have their reading skills, because nobody's teaching them to read anymore. There's no phonics, there's no sight word work. It's more, now you have to read your assignment and be able to do your work. But we have worked with, and if the teachers come to us and say, we've got a first grader last year at Robinwood, we had a first grader who really wanted to be in the program and really wanted to read. So we took her last year, and she is again with us this year, and she really does read. She's great.
Well, you just try to imagine yourself in everything we do. We're reading all the time, and especially in school, as you move up in the grades, let's say you got a story problem to solve, and it's a math problem, but to get to understand the problem and get to the answer, you've got to read the story. And if you can't read the story, you're not even getting to the math part. You're struggling with the words. So this has got to be a fundamental skill that all the children need to have. And that's why I think this is such an important program. That's what got me interested, because where could I help? I'm sort of a semi-retired business guy, but this is something I know is needed. If we can help children read, we're going to help them get out of an economic problem, get them into an education program, allows them to get ahead.
Okay, we're going to take a break now, but when we return, I'll be talking in greater detail with Linda Barber and Doug Smith about the STAIR program.
I'm Staff Sergeant Meg Krause. I was on active duty for 5 years. I was a medic. My psychological health, I didn't think it was an issue when I came home, but one of my soldiers actually said,
I think you might be suffering from PTSD.
I came back from Iraq and I have PTSD too. You have to talk about it because if you hold it in, your life just gets miserable.
Since Sergeant Krause has returned from seeking treatment, she's back to the way she was when I first got in the unit as far as being a very outstanding NCO.
I'm talking today with Linda Barber and Doug Smith of STAIR. It's an after-school reading program for second graders. You know, kids spend most of their day in school, and when they get out of school, they're looking to have fun. How do you make STAIR enjoyable for the kids so they don't see it as necessarily an extension of the school day?
That's a really good question. I actually see two personas because 3 of our centers are in schools and 3 of our centers are at community centers. So the children in school come in in their kind of school persona and actually begin to loosen up. The kids that come into the community centers are of course coming off the bus, so they're a little crazy. So when they come into STAIR, the first thing we do is give them a snack, some healthy food, fruit, granola bars, water, juice, and we read to them because we find that even though their parents try very hard, often the child doesn't have someone who just reads a book to them expressively. Then we start on lessons. We have a curriculum that we follow, but what we find is people get the wiggles. That's what I call it. And so we have all sorts of techniques. We have, well, why don't you stand up while you're working? We have AEIO yoga. We have getting up and moving over to the STAIR library to choose some other books to read. We may group the children together to play a bingo game, but it's all sight word and reading focused. So we try to keep them moving. We try to keep it upbeat and very interesting as opposed to slogging through work, which is not what we're about. Right. So, and our tutors are amazing people. They are creative. They come from all walks of life. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have CPAs, we have sailboat sailmakers, we have musicians, we have all sorts of different people who have a deep love of reading and of children.
And that's an important part. You don't have to be a teacher to participate in the STAIR program. The program is designed to bring people that care about it, but to help them with a good curriculum and tools. Linda mentioned the bingo game. Why don't you tell them about this? Anything that spins seems to have an immediate attraction. So we do need things that make it fun for the kids because they've come off of a school day. They're tired or they want to go outside and play, but you watch within a few minutes, they're into these games and they want to see it continue for the rest of the time because they enjoy it. So how do you play bingo with this?
So this is sight word bingo, and there are about 1,000 sight words. And if you know all the sight words, you can probably read about 65% of any piece of material that's put in front of you. So we work really hard to get the children really being fluent with sight words. Of course, anything that has a spinner or a dice is something that the children are going to love to use. So what they do is they take turns, they spin, they read the word, this one is hour, and then they look at their card and see if they have the word hour on it, and if they do, they cover it, and eventually they get bingo. And this game is good for up to 4, and beyond that, we have a great big sight word bingo game that we play with the whole group, which is also fun because the kids get to read and cover their dice. So this is one of the commercial games we use. We also have handmade games. So
you don't have to worry about what am I going to do. If you're a tutor, you've got lots of tools to work with. Plus you've got Linda to advise you, and each site has a site coordinator. Someone that's been through this program a couple times knows how to spot problems, how to get started, and how to work through the hour.
What kinds of training, if any, do you provide to the tutors? Do you have guidelines for the tutors? Do you have any formal training programs for them in preparation, or do they just sort of jump in and get going?
We have, for all brand new tutors, a 2-hour training program, which I lead.
Right.
All tutors have to be Anne Arundel County Public School background checked, and they all are required to watch the 11-minute Anne Arundel County Public Schools sexual harassment and abuse video, which is an excellent video for anyone to watch. Then they can shadow at a site, and then they go in with their students. We this year are having 2 tutor workshops. The first one is actually this week, and we'll be focusing on how do children read, how can we better use sight words, what are some management techniques if you have a really wiggly child, and then just getting the tutors together to talk about their varying ideas. Returning tutors are also required to come to a training session before STAIR starts up. And I personally meet every tutor so that I know them, and I go around to all the sites to see them. And we have curriculums. There are actually 8 units. They're all variegated so that you're reading more and more and more. And you move from phonics into lots of fluency and comprehension the higher up in the units that you go.
This is all designed to engage a child that's in 2nd grade. So there's no lecture. You're not working at a blackboard. You're not working at a desk that you have to sit down, because we know conquering the wiggles is a big deal. But I think the payoff is fun. One of the things I enjoy doing is when they've actually mastered some of these key words, the ones that they can sound out as well as the sight words, to watch a 2nd grader read for the first time, something as fun as The Cat in the Hat, or this is I Can Read with My Eyes Shut. Now that's a good book. That one makes me want to read. How do you actually do that? So the idea that we make it fun, I think, is key. If it were sort of hard labor, it wouldn't work. But it does work if the kids have a good time.
You mentioned that you have a lot of interaction with the teachers at the schools. In what way do you work collaboratively with the teachers to deal with individual students, or even with groups of students that you have that may be in their classes?
We do a number of things. So at each STAIR site there is a coordinator who is responsible for that site and the students and the tutors at that site. They are the ones that do the one-on-one reading with the reading teachers. So first we start by receiving our students, and the teachers introduce them to us either by a short paragraph about each child, or coming to meet with the tutors to tell them a little bit about the children. As the year goes on, children, as with all people, sometimes have problems in their lives, and if we find that a child is being fractious or something's not going right, we've had children who come and they're crying. So we take those problems back to the reading teacher. What's going on? Is there something we can do? And we try to work that out. At the tutor workshops that we have, we invite all of our reading teachers to come so that they can hear and also talk with the tutors in a less stressful atmosphere. Not that STAIR is stressful, but getting everybody calmed down and going into STAIR is not a good time for the teachers to come in and talk with the tutors. So we try to have those opportunities available.
Do you have any stories about the tutoring process, about the work that goes on within your program that you're especially proud of, that you'd like to share with our viewers? Just stories and things that have really moved you in terms of outcomes that you have seen occur with individual students in your program.
Okay, 2 stories. I may have a bunch, I don't know. I think I do, because people get tired of listening to me.
Our viewers love stories.
What we do during STAIR when we're working with the sight words is we take 3x5 cards, and on each 3x5 card, as a child has trouble with a word, we write that word. So eventually we get a whole bunch of cards that have sight words on them. And one day one of our students asked one of our tutors, who is now a sight coordinator, well, what am I going to do? We call this pack of cards the word bank. And the student said, well, I don't understand that bank thing. And our tutor said, well, you know about banks, right? And the child said, yeah, it's where you keep money. And the tutor said, well, you know, money in banks, sometimes it can disappear. And the student was like, wow. And the tutor said, but this is your word bank. And every one of these words in here is in your bank and eventually goes in here. And your word bank is yours forever. You never have to lose it. And the child was thought that was amazing. And of course, the word banks go home at the end of the year with everybody. The other thing that we do is, at the end of every year, as long as we continue to have a generous donor, we make a hardback book for each of the sites, specific to the sites, that have photos of the children in STAIR, and each child gets 2 to 4 pages, and they show pictures of them with their tutors, and then they show some of the work that we've done. So there are poems, and we list and write down every book that we read. And so at the end of the year, as a surprise, the students received this book. The first year we gave it, the next day, all the children took their books to show and tell because they are in a book. And that is the most amazing thing ever. And so this gentleman, whose name is Jaden, was my student, and I ran into him probably a year ago. And I said, do you still have your book? And he said, absolutely. So this is really an important thing. I can't tell you enough about our kids. They are the best in the entire world.
So this is an example of the other half of the program. So the tutors are one half. That's a lot of volunteer effort. We operate on about a $15,000 to $20,000 a year budget. So not a lot of money. But these things do cost money, and we're grateful for the contributions that people make to help us with the expenses of the program. So those are the kinds of things that I worry about. How do we have enough money to keep this program going and to buy the supplies? Because if you could see how proud the kids are when they receive this book at the end of the program, I mean, it's impressive. Have you ever had your picture in a book? It's pretty impressive. And for a second grader to walk home with this book to show to their parents, here's something that I accomplished because I earned this book through the STAIR program. It's really a keepsake.
Well, I'm sure that many of our viewers are going to want to get in contact with you for more information about STAIR and possibly to volunteer. Can you supply us with some contact information? How do they get in touch with you?
I'm Linda Barber. I'm the executive director. My phone number is 410-279-6480. And my my email address is linda.barbour, B-A-R-B-O-U-R, @hotmail.com. And our offices are right up the street from your studio at the First Presbyterian Church on the corner of Duke of Gloucester and Conduit Street. So I would love to talk to anyone who's interested in the program, and you'll have a great time because we have wonderful children.
Thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, simply jot down the information that's on the screen. You can reach us at 410-263-7998 or by email at hrcommission@annapolis.org. Annapolis.gov, or check out our page at the City of Annapolis website. Go to www.annapolis.gov and click on City Government, then Boards and Commissions, and you can scroll down to the Human Relations Commission page. And always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters."